The seat of Macquarie, taking in the picturesque Blue Mountains to the west of Sydney, is set to be a battleground at the upcoming election. Last time round, the Labor Party took it with a margin of 7%, but since then the boundaries have been redrawn, and it now includes substantial parts of the seat of Greenway, traditionally Liberal territory. Analysts are now putting the margin at just 0.3% in Labor's favour. Lithgow and surrounds, solid Labor territory, are gone, replaced by the more conservative Hawkesbury area, including Richmond. On top of this, the sitting member, Bob Debus, a well-known heavyweight in state Labor politics for years before winning the federal seat in 2007, is not running. In his stead is Susan Templeman. She's a long-time local of the Blue Mountains, but new to politics. The same cannot be said about her opponent, Louise Marcus. Ms Marcus currently holds the seat of Greenway for the Liberal Party. ElectionWIRE caught up with her as she was campaigning in the town of Lapston.
Look, over half of Greenway constituents have moved into the seat of Macquarie, so pretty much all of the Hawkesbury. That's where my office is, that's where I've lived over the last 20 years with my husband and my children, so I decided that I'd move with the majority of my constituents and move into the seat of Macquarie.
Okay, so you've come with the people you represent to the seat?
With most of the people that I represent. I'm going to be campaigning across the whole seat, getting to as many people as I can.
No, but it's going to be quite a fiercely contested seat, this one. It looks like it's going to become right down to the wire. Some people from the Labor camp were saying they expect it to be won or lost by a matter of 100 votes or something like that. Do you think it will be that tight?
Yeah, look, I think it is a tight contest. People are quite concerned about the level of debt that the federal government have.
Okay.
They're also concerned about health, roads and transport and challenges competing with freight that's on the roads, and also the lack of infrastructure across the board. They're also very concerned about access to health because they're seeing Katoomba downsize and not have access to specialist services.
But isn't your party, like the Labor Party, running on a sort of no new spending policy? How are they going to sort of increase all this infrastructure without new taxes or new spending?
Well, our investment in mental health of $1.5 billion is well and truly costed, and we're finding savings in other areas where, and redirecting money to priorities.
Along with these local issues still unresolved after Labor's first term are the national issues that have seen support for the government ebb around the country since the last election. This loss, however, hasn't just been the Liberal Party's gain. Particularly in the bohemian towns of the mountains, support for the Greens is on the rise.
I think what's being missed in this election so far is that we're not talking about the most vulnerable and the voiceless people of the community.
Okay, sure. Let's have a look at the cover of the news review here. This is quite interesting what they've called it. The Watermelon Party.
It's a bit of a
green on the outside, red on the inside.
A bit of a soft grab, isn't it?
Well, do you think there's something to that? I mean, a lot of socialists, a lot of people who consider themselves socialists, I know, are voting green. I mean, is it a socialist party?
Well, socialist means you care about other people, and you care about giving other people a fair go and an equal chance and opportunity in life. And insofar as that goes, I think we are social. Generally speaking, I think most Greens voters would prefer Labor policies to Liberal policies, but we always recommend that people also, after the Greens, maybe look at some of the other parties that may be more progressive than Labor, that may have more Greens credentials or more social justice credentials, that they may be about looking after particular sectors of the community that so far have been neglected.
Ms Templeman wasn't able to meet up with us in time, but we did catch up with a volunteer from her campaign.
Issue is that Susan is new to politics. She's lived in the electorate for 20 years. She's very committed to the local issues, and for me that's the most important thing.
Regarding the sort of performance of the Labor government over its term so far, how do you feel about that, Susie?
Well, I suppose like a lot of us, we are disappointed. We had great hopes when Rudd was elected in terms of work on climate change, environmental issues, health, education. However, for me, it's very simple. I would rather have a Labor government than a Liberal government under Tony Abbott.
Sure, I mean, and well, that seems to be Susan's. If I was reading the Blue Mountains Gazette yesterday, and all her quotes were like, "I understand that people might want to put the Greens first, but do you really want? But then you have to decide if you want Tony Abbott." I mean, isn't it a little depressing to be part of a party that's to be working for a candidate who's going to win because their leader is less despised?
For me, it isn't that issue. It's the fact that really, realistically, in the House of Reps, the Greens don't have a significant voice. They will hold the balance of power in the Senate, but for my House of Reps representative, it is a choice between Liberal and Labor, and I don't want a Liberal representative for me.
With 3 determined women in the running, and the margin much too close to call, it's clear that Macquarie will be a seat to watch in the upcoming election.